Good evening from Tianjin, North China, where the skyline of this bustling port city has been transformed into the backdrop of one of the most significant diplomatic gatherings of the year. The Mjiang Convention and Exhibition Center, decorated with national flags, intricate floral displays, and the emblem of China's rotating presidency, has become the center of the world's attention. Tonight, it hosts the 25th meeting of the Council of Heads of State of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Chinese President Xi Jinping greets the arriving leaders one by one. Cameras capture his handshakes with Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian, Kazakhstan's President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, Kyrgyzstan's President Sadir Japarov, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Tajikistan's President Emomali Rahmon, and Uzbekistan's President Shavkat Mirziyoyev. Alongside them, SCO Secretary General Nurlan Yermekbayev and Yulbek, the director of the regional anti-terrorist structure, stand as part of the delegation. These moments are formal but also symbolic, images that project unity at a time when global divisions are widening. Inside the Grand Hall, the summit officially opens. Xi Jinping takes the podium and begins his address, urging members to uphold what he calls the Shanghai spirit, a principle rooted in trust, equality, consultation, and respect for civilizations, alongside a shared pursuit of development. His words, delivered with calm authority, are aimed not only at those seated in the chamber, but at the wider world watching closely. In an era defined by rivalries, he argues, the SCO must be a pillar of stability. Since its founding in 2001, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization has undergone a dramatic transformation. Once a relatively narrow grouping focused on regional security, it now brings together a family of 26 nations spanning Asia, Europe, and Africa. Collectively, these nations represent more than 40% of the world's population and boast a combined economic output approaching $30 trillion, with cooperation spreading across more than 50 fields. From energy and infrastructure to counterterrorism and digital innovation, the SCO has become an engine of multipolar influence. In Tianjin, Xi presents a 5-point plan for the organization's future. First, he calls on members to respect their differences and strengthen solidarity, rejecting division in favor of partnership. Second, he emphasizes win-win development, aligning national strategies to boost cooperation in energy, infrastructure, green industries, and digital technology. Third, he stresses openness, calling for deeper cultural exchanges to strengthen bonds between peoples. Fourth, he insists on fairness and justice, warning against the dangers of Cold War mentalities and bloc confrontations. And finally, he urges institutional reform, pushing for more efficiency, better resources, and stronger governance. The leaders respond in turn. Vladimir Putin of Russia praises China's leadership during its rotating presidency and underscores Moscow's view of the SCO as a cornerstone of Eurasian stability. India's Narendra Modi highlights his country's unique role as both a South Asian giant and a bridge across regions. Iran's President Pezeshkian points to the vast potential of cooperation in energy and trade. Leaders from Pakistan and Central Asia pledge their commitment to fighting terrorism, separatism, and extremism, while also embracing opportunities for trade, scientific exchange, and cultural collaboration. What emerges is a chorus of voices distinct in their national interests, but unified in their recognition of the SCO as a rising global force. The summit produces tangible outcomes. Leaders adopt the Tianjin Declaration, a strategic roadmap looking ahead to the year 2035. More than 20 agreements are signed covering security, economic development, scientific cooperation, cultural exchange, and counterterrorism. New SCO centers are inaugurated, tasked with tackling organized crime, cyber threats, and the trafficking of narcotics. The symbolism is clear. The SCO is expanding its toolkit to meet challenges that no nation can solve alone. A notable development comes with the announcement that Laos will join as a dialogue partner, widening the SCO's circle and reinforcing its appeal as an inclusive platform. Meanwhile, Kyrgyzstan prepares to assume the rotating presidency next year, pledging to carry forward the initiatives launched under China's stewardship. All of this unfolds against the broader context of global volatility. Geopolitical rivalries are intensifying, supply chains remain fragile, and wars continue to test the international system. From the conflict in Ukraine to unrest in the Middle East, the turbulence of the world order is never far from the minds of those gathered in Tianjin. Their message is one of resistance to unilateralism, resistance to hegemony, and resistance to the erosion of international norms. Instead, they pledge to safeguard the United Nations Charter, promote stability, and work toward what they call a community with a shared future for humanity. As the summit draws to a close, the scene is one of handshakes, group photographs, and carefully choreographed symbolism. Yet behind these images lies a deeper message that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, once dismissed by many as a regional club, is now staking its claim as a central pillar of a multipolar world. The agreements signed, the declarations adopted, and the commitments voiced in Tianjin all point to an organization seeking not only to manage crises, but to shape the global order itself. For the leaders seated in the Mjiang Convention and Exhibition Center, this is about more than diplomacy. It is about defining the future direction of the world. For billions across Asia, Europe, and beyond, it is about the hope that cooperation can replace confrontation. And for the world watching, the question remains, will the SCO's promises translate into action? Tonight, Tianjin stands as the city where these questions were asked and where history may remember that the balance of power was shifting. The 25th meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization closes not as a routine summit, but as a statement of intent, an intent to build, to resist, and to redefine what international cooperation can mean in a changing century.